Hello! Welcome to English for Everyone, where we practice real-life American English. Today we're going to learn to avoid some important mistakes, so let's get started. First, this is not correct.
Learn who's an academic advisor. What is the difference between a lecture and a seminar? What is prerequisite? Who's an alumni? GPA, faculty, extracurricular activities. Like all of these words, you need to understand them because a lot of them are going to be used during this section.
Okay, let's look at each part. First, let's hear this part again.
Who's an alumni?
I cannot say who's an alumni. The word is pronounced alumni. We use the short sound like cup and up. We cannot say alumni. We say alumni. And we cannot say who's an alumni, because who is a question for a person's name. And technically, alumni is a plural. Singular is alumnus. So it should be, what's an alumnus? But a lot of Americans make this mistake, and they say alumni referring to a single person. But technically, it's a plural. It should be one alumnus and two alumni. And what is it? An alumnus is a person who attended a school, usually a college or university. That's an alumnus. An alumni is plural. If I talk about more than one person who attended a school or university, they are alumni. Because you're talking about the definition of the word, I can't use who. I have to say what. What's an alumnus? An alumnus is a person who attended a school previously. That's an alumnus. Let's practice. He attended a school previously. He graduated. Is he an alumnus? That's right, he's an alumnus. Now let's practice with the plural, alumni. They attended the school previously. They all graduated from the university. So are they alumni? That's right, they are alumni. But like I said, a lot of Americans make this mistake and they'll refer to one student who graduated from the university, a former student, and they'll call him an alumni. Technically, it's not correct. But remember, it's not alumni, it's alumni, and alumnus for singular. Let's hear another clip.
What is prerequisite?
I cannot say what is prerequisite. Prerequisite is countable. I have to say what is a prerequisite. And what is a prerequisite? A prerequisite is a requirement that is required before you do something. Example, if you want to take Algebra 2, well, you have to take Algebra 1 first. That's a prerequisite. Before you take Algebra 2, you have to take Algebra 1. That's a prerequisite. Pronunciation, prerequisite. It's a long word. That's a prerequisite. Remember, it's countable. We have to say a. Taking Algebra 1 is a prerequisite before you can take Algebra 2. Let's practice. Is Algebra 1 a prerequisite before you can take Algebra 2? That's right. Algebra 1 is a prerequisite that you have to take before you can take Algebra 2. Let's hear another clip.
Learn who's an academic advisor.
I cannot say learn who's an academic advisor. Again, who refers to a person's name, but we're talking about the definition of the word. So it should be learn what's an academic advisor? Well, I can't use a question structure, so I have to change the structure. I have to say learn what an academic advisor is. I have to put is at the end because I'm not asking a direct question. I'm telling you to learn something. So we have to use a positive structure. Again, learn what an academic advisor is. If I want to know the person's name, I would say who. Learn who the academic advisor is at this school. Specific used the. But she's talking about the definition. So you should learn what an academic advisor is. Let's practice. Should you learn what an academic advisor is? That's right. You should learn what an academic advisor is. It's someone who gives you advice on what classes to take at the university. That's what an academic advisor is. It makes sense. Let's hear another one.
GPA, faculty, extracurricular activities.
Pronunciation. We don't say faculty. The word is pronounced faculty. The U is a short sound like cup and up. Faca, faculty. The A is a short sound like black cat. Fa, Faculty. Not faculty, but faculty. The faculty is the staff at the school. The teachers, administrators, everybody who works there, that's the faculty. This is also not correct.
And here are my tips for this section. Let me explain you the tasks first.
I cannot say, let me explain you the tasks first. Why not? Well, when we use explain, we need a connector. We need a preposition. Explain to you. And we have an order problem. We have to put the object, the tasks, before the person. So we can say, let me explain the tasks to you first. We have to use this order when we use the verb explain. I cannot say, let me explain to you the tasks first. I have to put the person after. Let me explain the tasks to you first. Example. I cannot say, let me explain you something. We have to put the object something first and the person after. So it's correct to say, let me explain something to you. Remember the preposition to. Let me explain something to you. Or if you ask a question, you say, can you explain something to me? I cannot say, can you explain me something? I have to change the order and use the preposition to. So the question, can you explain something to me? So let's practice. Imagine you want me to explain something to you. Ask me the question. That's right. The question is, can you explain something to me? Very good. This is also not correct.
Once you finish writing, reread the text from beginning to the end.
I cannot say reread the text from beginning to the end. We can say this two different ways, with articles or without articles, but we cannot mix it. So I can say, reread the text from beginning to end. No articles, no the. Reread the text from beginning to end. Or I can include articles. Reread the text from the beginning to the end. So no articles or both articles, but I cannot mix it. I cannot say reread the text from beginning to the end. So I think it's easier just to eliminate the articles, both of them. Reread the text from beginning to end. This is easier. So example, she needs to reread the text from beginning to end. Let's practice. Does she need to reread the text from beginning to end? That's right. She needs to reread the text from beginning to end. This is also not correct.
Don't really waste time on writing conclusion. You can write a sentence, that's it.
I cannot say don't really waste time on writing conclusion, because conclusion is a countable word. I need an article. Because it's one in general. So I can say don't really waste time on writing a conclusion. I have to use the article with the word conclusion. It's countable. I can have one conclusion or two conclusions. Usually there's one, but it's a countable noun. I have to say But I don't think it's a waste of time. I think you should write a conclusion. I think it's a good idea. What do you think? Should you write a conclusion at the end of your paper? That's right. You should write a conclusion at the end of your paper. It's pretty standard. This is also not correct.
Comment down below, when is your exam? Like how much time you have to prepare?
I cannot say comment down below, when is your exam? Like how much time you have to prepare. If I say, let me know down below, when is your exam? We have two separate sentences. The second one is a question structure. So I can say, comment down below. End of sentence. Next sentence. When is your exam? Like, how much time do you have to prepare? I have to use another question structure because I have two questions in a row. How much time do you have to prepare? I have to use do. This is also not correct.
At least two. Just to understand how it works from your brain perspective, but also to understand.
I cannot say how it works from your brain perspective. When we use the word perspective, we need a possessive. I have to say, from your brain's perspective. I know this is a strange idea, but it's important to know when you use perspective, you have to have a possessive. My perspective, your perspective, his perspective. That's why we have to say, from your brain's perspective. It's how your brain sees it. This is also not correct.
Primarily, because the text can have several topics and the answers will point at them.
I cannot say the answers will point at them. Why not? Because point at is when you physically point at somebody. I am pointing at you. So what do? We change the preposition. We use point to. So we can say the answers will point to them. You're talking about something that's not physical. I'm not physically pointing at something or somebody. We're saying that this will indicate something else. Use point to. Example, the police found some evidence, and the evidence pointed to the suspect. I can't say the evidence pointed at the suspect. I'm not physically pointing. We use point to. The police found some evidence, and the evidence pointed to that suspect. It indicated that he was guilty. Use point to when you're not really pointing at somebody. Let's practice. The police found some evidence, and did the evidence point to that suspect? That's right, the evidence pointed to that suspect. It indicated that he was guilty. This is also not correct.
And you will also asked to create the main summary.
I cannot say, and you will also asked to create the main summary. This is passive voice. We need the verb be. It's correct to say, and you will also be asked to create the main summary. So example, he's writing a paper, and the teacher will ask him to create a summary. So I can use passive voice and say, he will be asked to create a summary. One in general, not a specific one. So I use a. Again, he will be asked to create a summary. I need the verb be. It's passive voice. Let's practice. Will he be asked to create a summary? That's right, he will be asked to create a summary. This is also not correct.
Now, if you have some time, of course, brush up your vocabulary. There are lists of words that are frequently used in TOEFL tests. We have a lot of those words in our TOEFL prep course, where you can find all the necessary checklists and lists of words that you can brush up before your actual test.
In America, we cannot say brush up your vocabulary. The phrasal verb is brush up on your vocabulary. And it means to practice skills that you learned before, but you need to relearn them or improve on them. That is to brush up on something. Review it, practice it again. To improve. So, you need to brush up on your vocabulary. Example, he hasn't been practicing a lot and he has a test coming up. So he needs to brush up on his vocabulary. He needs to review it so he'll get better. Let's practice. Does he need to brush up on his vocabulary? That's right, he needs to brush up on his vocabulary. This is also not correct.
Where a teacher explains what's the right answer, how to look at the question. That's something that you can find in our TOEFL course.
I cannot say when the teacher explains what's the right answer. What's the right answer is a direct question. What is the right answer? What's the right answer? But if I say the teacher explains, I'm not asking a direct question. So I have to use a positive structure. It's correct to say when the teacher explains what the right answer is. I have to use a positive structure because I'm not asking a direct question. Example, in class, the teacher explains what the right answer is. That's what the teacher does. The teacher explains what the right answer is. Let's practice. Does the teacher explain what the right answer is? That's right, the teacher explains what the right answer is. And don't say this either.
I keep my fingers crossed for your test.
Don't say, I keep my fingers crossed for your test. I keep is a routine action. This is not a routine. It's something temporary or in the future. So you can use future and say, I will, I'll keep my fingers crossed for your test. Well, for your test, no, it's usually for a person. I'll keep my fingers crossed for you when you take your test. Or you can use a continuous action and say, I'm keeping my fingers crossed for you. But don't say, I keep my fingers crossed for you, because it's not a routine. Let's practice. I'm going to take a test tomorrow. Will you keep your fingers crossed for me? That's right, I'll keep my fingers crossed for you. For good luck. Thanks, I appreciate it. This is also not correct.
And don't let your mind wander.
I cannot say don't let your mind wander. Wander? Wonder is a verb when you ask yourself a question. I wonder what time it is. Or I can use wonder for something amazing. It's a wonder. Pronunciation, use the short sound. Wonder, like up and cup. Wonder. I wonder what time it is. That's the verb, to ask yourself. Or something is a wonder, something amazing. Like the 7 wonders of the world. Pronunciation, wonder. Use the short sound. But she means something different. She means don't let your mind wander. Wander. Use a different sound. Use the sound, the open like hot and stop. Wander. Don't let your mind wander. What is wander? Wander means to move around or walk around with no direction. That's to wander. So concentrate. Stay focused. Don't let your mind wander. Go from thing to thing with no direction. That's wander, with the open sound, like hot and stop. Wander. Example, if you're taking your test, you should be focused. You should concentrate. You shouldn't let your mind wander. Let's practice. If you're taking a test, should you let your mind wander? That's right. If you're taking a test, you shouldn't let your mind wander. You should stay focused. You should concentrate. Or I can talk about teenagers. Teenagers like to walk around the mall with no real direction. So I can say teenagers like to wander around the mall. Let's practice. Do teenagers like to wander around the mall? That's right. Teenagers like to wander around the mall. Pronunciation, wander, with the open sound, like hot and stop. Wander. This is also not correct.
You actually take a Toefl mock test.
I cannot say a Toefl mock test. The word is not pronounced mock. It's pronounced mock. We use the open sound like hot and stop. Mock. It's a Toefl mock test. It's not the real one. It's a practice one. It's called a mock test. Let's practice. What is a mock test? Is it the real test or is it a practice test? That's right. A mock test is a practice test. It's not the real one. This is also not correct.
You're going to have 3 lectures, 3 to 5 minutes each. And those lectures, oh my God, they're going to dump so much scientific and academic information on you.
I cannot say you gonna and they gonna. Gonna is a reduction of going to. So I need the verb to be. You are, contraction, you're. You're gonna. They are, contraction, they're. Make that sound. They're gonna. So again, I cannot say you gonna and they gonna. We say you're gonna and they're gonna. Example, they're gonna go to the store. I cannot say they gonna go. I have to make the sound and say they're. They're gonna go to the store. Let's practice. Are they gonna go to the store? That's right. They're gonna go to the store. Thank you for watching. And if you like this video, subscribe to our channel. And if you want to become a member, click the join button. And we'll see you next time.